favorite song. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm your host, Doug Inkler. Joining me in the co-host seat, as always, is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
Hello, people.
Having it be a midweek show, and Angela is unable to join us tonight. She has a lot of stuff that she had to catch up on after having spent a fun weekend with Darren.
Yes, it was a wonderful time, and I'm counting the days until all three of us can be in the same place at the same time.
That would be amazing. I'm hoping that we can get that to happen, because that's the only thing that hasn't happened. Darren and I have been to a con together. Angela and I have been to a con together. And now Darren and Angela have been to a con together. And good evening, Jeremy. Great to see you in the chat. A friend of mine who just, he moved recently, finally got computer stuff set up, and is able to tune in and hang out with us.
Man, nice to meet you, sir.
And I think he moved to, was it Mississippi you said you moved to? Yeah, Mississippi Con, so. But tonight, we are going to be talking about the Crunchyroll Awards. We did a live show for voting. Well, the winners have been announced. So tonight, we're going to have fun with probably a 1 hour special. Might go a little bit long because we like to pick this stuff apart and really give our honest opinions about how we feel, because we've already done two other anime awards results that we've gone through, and did we agree, did we not agree? So it's only fair to do it to Crunchyroll.
Yep, but also to be fair, it should not take almost 6 months from shows that very clearly finished up a while ago. It should not take 6 months to get results on awards like this.
Yeah. But I figure tonight we will jump into it here in just a minute. We want to once again thank our sponsors, Home Circle Media, for the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today, or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. I know they've got a couple of cons going on this year, and then things were going to be kind of sketchy for a little bit until some things settle down in the world. Also, we want to thank our sponsor, Triple S Lawn Care. If you're in the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area and you're in need of quality lawn care at a great price, reach out to Darren and Triple S Lawn Care. They will hook you up, but act fast. Spots are filling up, especially where the weather has gotten warmer and rainier.
Yep.
So let's jump into it. We will put up here, let me switch over. So these were all of your categories: anime of the year, anime film, continuing anime series, new anime, original, best animation, character design, director, background art, romance, comedy, action, isekai, drama, slice of life, main character, supporting character, must protect at all costs character, best anime song, best score, best anime opening, ending, best voice artist performance, Japanese, English, Castilian, Latin, Spanish, Portuguese, German, Italian, Arabic, and French. So we will slowly scroll down for anime of the year, going to Solo Leveling. Now, of all the options that were there, I had seen Freerin and Apothecary Diaries in their entirety. Delicious in Dungeon, I had seen, I think, 2, maybe 3 episodes of, and that was it. And I know Solo Leveling had a lot of fans and stuff, so I can't say whether or not I felt like that was just one because everybody knows it and it's popular. I forget I think I voted for Apothecary Diaries. I think I thought that was a better anime than Free Red, but usually when the two of them were going head to head, it was tough to decide, do I want one or the other?
Mm-hmm. So I'm really kind of surprised by that one. As far as I know, especially, I'm not going to get too much into convention talk because I kind of want Angela on whenever we talk about it, but I don't really recall seeing much of any Solo Leveling cosplays this weekend, and if I did, I didn't recognize anything because it just wasn't one of those shows that I heard a lot about. I heard plenty about Freerun and Apothecary Diaries all weekend, but Solo
Even
Leveling, I
Dan to
don't.
Dan. Dan to
Yeah,
Dan, you heard a
no,
lot
yeah,
about and I'm sure you saw a lot of Dan to Dan cosplay.
yep. It was kind of an even split. I saw just as many Freerun, Dan to Dan, and Apothecary for those three. And actually, there was quite a few Delicious and Dungeon cosplays this year too. So those four anime really had the presence this year at the convention. And like I said, as far as Solo Leveling goes, I didn't hear one mention of it all weekend.
And hello to Ross in the chat. Thank you so much for tuning in. Great to see you. Jeremy in the chat says there is a lot of Solo Leveling popularity on TikTok. So it might be a social media kind of, maybe memes are what was making it more popular.
I mean, I have seen the cutscenes. I believe it was from Solo Leveling. If Jinwoo is the one of the main characters, I have seen several memes with him, and like edits with the audio. So I can get that, but yet again, I don't have TikTok.
Yeah,
I don't even
I,
I don't
I
even
don't
have
pay
it.
attention to it either.
No, I don't even have it downloaded on my phone.
Nunya Business in the chat says everyone except the monsters in Solo Leveling is dressed normally, so not much inspiration there. Plus, I think it's more of a fad that will die quickly, which is very well could be a possibility.
Agreed. And yes, thank you, Jeremy. I thought I was right about that.
Up next, we have Anime Film of the Year. Winner, Look Back.
Unfortunately, I didn't watch it. I haven't really watched many anime films since Your Name and A Silent Voice.
The only movie on that list that I had seen was Spy Family.
Which
And
reminds me, I still need to watch it.
that was what I had voted for when we um, did our live voting on there, and I voted for it because it was the only one I had seen. I can't logically vote for shows that I have not seen, even if I hear good things about it, because I can't give an honest opinion. Therefore, in most cases, I will not vote for. If I look at a category and I haven't seen any shows in that category or don't know any of the songs in that category or whatever the case may be, I won't vote for that category. I know when we did the live show, there was a couple of times that there were categories where I didn't know any of the shows. So we went to you guys in the chat and said, who do you think we should pick? And so we listened to you guys to help, you guys get a vote in there as well. So, and this one, I can't honestly say if that was good or not. I don't really know anything about it. To be honest, I had never heard of Look Back. I don't know anything about Look Back.
Likewise. And I haven't heard any of my friends talk about it either.
Next category coming up, Global Impact Award. That went to Attack on Titan for the final season.
I think the global impact was people realizing how pissed they were with it.
Probably, and from so many Attack on Titan fans, Angela included, how upset they were at how much it sucked.
And, it's kind of funny, and I'll let her tell the story about it. But there was a panel that we were this close to going to this weekend about Attack on Titan that at the last second we decided we're too tired for this because it was one of the late night ones.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this Sunday I will not be around. I will be in Altoona. Um, due to come back, I should say there's a 90% chance I won't be around. I did have one trip where our return train didn't come in until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And of course, Darren, I'll keep you and Angela updated on whether or not I'm going to be around, but plan for me not to be here.
Okay.
That being said, we may touch a little bit on the convention since I, was working while you guys were there, so I really didn't get a chance to talk to you guys much about what had happened there. But we may talk about that a little bit after we finish with the Anime Awards. But I did want to remind everybody that I will not be here Sunday due to the fact that I will be working. And also, they did have a convention not too far, about an hour and a half from me in Philadelphia, called by Geekdom Con. Unfortunately, I was unable to go to that. Maybe next year. I do know that there is another convention coming up in June that I'm potentially looking at wanting to go to. So fingers crossed. That one, I know Megan Shipman was announced as a guest. So there's a chance I could go and finally get to meet Megan, which would be amazing. Then it's, do you get her to autograph something Anya? Do you get her to autograph something Maple? She's done so many great characters.
Now, was that the one that grew up in North Carolina?
No, the one that, are you thinking of the one that Mrs. Bojangles?
Yes.
That was Caitlin Barr.
Okay. Because I was about to say, technically, you have access to a Bojangles, so you can bring Caitlin some stuff. The only problem is it won't be Southern Bojangles.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, if I see Caitlin Barr at a convention in Philly, I probably would go and grab some Bowberry biscuits just to bring to her and be like, well, this came from Reading, Pennsylvania, the closest Bojangles that I know of. But
I'm doing my best here.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, no, that's what I would tell him. I'm doing my best here.
Jeremy says, let me know if I want any from Mississippi, or if I want anything from the Mississippi Con. He's got a convention down in his neck of the woods that he's going to be going to soon. From the guest list that he had sent me, it's a wide variety. The only anime voice actor I saw was Sonny Strait.
Oh wow!
They had like professional wrestlers, a lot of Star Trek, Next Generation. I saw Will Wheaton, Jonathan Frakes there. So I didn't really see any like autographs popping out. Anybody that was looking for autographs from, but. And Ross says that he would get us a Zaxby's quesadilla. I have never been to a Zaxby's.
Well, remind me next time you come down here and we'll remedy that, because I know the owner of the one in Fuquay.
All right. Continuing on with the Anime Awards, we have the Best Continuing Anime Series winner, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Hirashia
Hashira.
training Hashira training arc. That of course, Demon Slayer was up there with other extremely popular shonens: Bleach, My Hero, One Piece, and then you had Oshinoko and Spy Family season 2s.
I'm really surprised it beat out One Piece.
I'm kind of surprised it beat out One Piece, but at the same time, I'm not.
Agreed. I mean,
Because
it's one
the
of the.
fandom for Demon Slayer is still very strong.
Yep.
Even though it's not our kind of shows, like you and I both are very meh when it comes to the shonens. I think you'd watch more shonens than I would.
I would.
Um, like Spy Family is the only one on there that I've watched, both seasons, the movie, and think is absolutely fantastic. Demon Slayer, as I mentioned before, gave 6 episodes and couldn't get into it. My Hero, I watched 4+ seasons and couldn't get, and just lost interest.
Mm-hmm. I personally, I think we may need to go back just for the villains, if nothing else.
But I know the Ross in the chat says he has seen all of Bleach, and if you guys have your opinions or comments on the winners of these or hot takes, feel free to share them in the chat. We welcome all the content. We welcome all the comments and everything. We do not judge because we know that, much like another podcast out there, we have trash taste on a lot of stuff. Hot takes with trash tastes,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't give Trash Case any inspiration that they can steal from us and not credit us on.
I watch every I literally watch every single trash taste. So if I see them even hint at something that we've done, it's like, hey, granted we pick on them too. So I mean,
Exactly.
if Trash Taste wants to promote us, do you know how big of a boost that would be?
Oh, I know.
Up next, we have Best New Anime Series. That went to Solo Leveling. So Solo Leveling again wins another award. That beat out the usual other 5 with Dan to Dan, Delicious in Dungeon, Freerin, Kaiju number 8, and Apothecary Diary. So Best New Anime Series, the same as Best Anime of 2025.
I'm gonna go out on a limb again and say Bull. I very much disagree with that one.
And Ross in the chat says that he commented, "I say the awards show was rigged. Woke up on Twitter the winners winning tried to reduce seeing posts because he doesn't care. But when he saw who won romance and should protect, he was pissed."
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it in a few minutes.
Up next, we have Best Original Anime. The winner went to Ninja Kamoi. I've actually heard good things about this. From the synopsis that I read, it was not like an anime that I would be interested in watching, but I have heard a lot of good things about this.
Was there anything in this that I actually watched?
I watched a couple episodes of Train to the End of the World, and Train to the End of the World was just not that. It did not hook me.
I'm kind of surprised Girls Bring Cry wasn't one of them. What wasn't the winner there? Because I heard really good things about that.
I heard decent things about that, and I heard some good things about Metallic Rouge as well. And then up next, we have Best Animation. Your winner, Demon Slayer.
Um, and that is one thing I can actually see because the whole reason Demon Slayer really got popular in the first place was because of episode 17, the fact that all of their money went into the budget for one particular scene, as being one of the cleanest animations in the history, CG animations in history, is what really got Demon Slayer on the map in the first place.
Yeah, I mean the art style and stuff was good from the 6 episodes that I saw of Demon Slayer. It just the storyline and the subject matter did not interest me in the least bit. So that's why I'm like I just couldn't get into it. And everybody's like, oh, well, you got to wait till 17, 18, 20 something episodes in where there's an epic fight scene. And it
Yep.
gets really good from then. And I'm like, I don't have enough time, energy,
Or
or
desire.
desire to go through, you know, 15 to 20 mediocre episodes before a show gets good. And I know people could fire back saying, why do you like Freerun? I like Freerun for a whole different reason. I feel like the whole show is good. I know that it is very much of a slow burn, but it's a slow burn throughout the whole show. It's not, oh, well, it kind of starts slow and then you get to good stuff. It's like the whole show is good. It's just a slow burn. You just got to kind of look at it with a different mindset than you would watch most other shows. And of course, Freerun's not for everybody, just like, Demon Slayer's got the diehard fandom, and I'm not part of that. I'm part of the Freerun fandom, and some people don't understand why that's popular.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and it's funny. There are several shows that many people refuse to watch simply because the art style or animation pissed them off.
Yeah,
JoJo, for instance.
that's one I refuse to watch because of the art style. And I've heard enough people talk about it that I have no interest to watch it, even if the art was better. But
It's it's got some humor in there that I would think you would like, but all in all, I can definitely confirm it's not your kind of show.
Ross in the chat, continuing on about his opinion on some of these award winners. He said, "Yeah, but Sign of Affection had beautiful art than these nominees." I'm guessing he meant to say more beautiful art or better artwork and animation than these shows. I have not seen Sign of Affection, but I've heard. I think Angela had watched it. Did you watch it too, Darren?
I watched part of it and ran out of time. And it's actually kind of funny. Um, we got on a conversation about a silent voice, and she said she'd never even heard of it. I'm like, well, if you liked Sign of Affection, that is one you would like because it's literally a very similar premise.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of them, but I have heard very good things about both. Up next, we have Best Character Design, and that went to Dan, beating out Delicious in Dungeon, Demon Slayer, Freerun, Kaiju number 8, and Apothecary Diaries.
To be fair, what you make of it was Turbo Granny that cemented the award for that one.
I have not seen Dan.
But character design was definitely unique in that one. Even though I haven't seen it either, I've seen enough of the characters to where I can agree with that.
My wife had started watching it, and she thought that it's something that I might be interested in, but I just never. Because I think Dan, one of them was into UFOs, the other one was into ghosts, and they were trying to prove to the other that, what they believed in truly existed.
Mm-hmm.
And because of my interest and fascination with the paranormal, my wife said that I should check it out, but I just never had the chance to watch it because typically me, I find, between 10 and 15 shows every season, it feels like to watch. Up next, Best Director. Winner, Kitsuri, is that Kiichiro Saito for Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. And so Best Director went to Frieren, beating out Dan to Dan, Demon Slayer, One Piece, Apothecary Diaries, and Delicious in Dungeon. This one, I remember when it came to the vote, I was very tossed because the direction of Frieren and the direction of Apothecary Diaries were both absolutely fantastic. I'm not mad about Frieren getting the award here. I mean, in all honesty, it probably could have gone to, Frieren, Apothecary Diaries, or even Dan to Dan from, the storyline and stuff that I've heard. And having watched Frieren and Apothecary Diaries both in English and in Japanese, and knowing that it was the Japanese that went to the Japanese director, they really did do a fantastic job with the show. So this one, I'm not upset with.
Likewise.
And having read, 12 volumes of the manga for Frieren, this is a show that stayed true to the manga like almost every step of the way. So having read ahead, because Frieren season 1 part 2 ends about halfway through volume 7. So when I finishing up 7 and going through 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, man, does that have me excited for season 2. Having seen what went on and some of the stuff that happened, I can't wait to see how they bring that to life on Crunchyroll or wherever you're able to watch your favorite animes. Up next, we have Best Background Art. That also went to Frieren, beating out Dan to Dan, Delicious in Dungeon, Demon Slayer, Pluto, which I had never heard of, and Apothecary Diaries. This one, I think I had voted for Apothecary Diaries, but I wouldn't take anything away from Frieren because Apothecary Diaries, a lot of the scenes take place in the rear palace, and so you have a lot of similar traditional, like ancient Chinese buildings and structures and things of that nature. Where Frieren, they had to, like, the background wasn't just centrally located in one location. They're traveling from place to place to place over, through plains, over, fields of flowers. You have mountains, you've got villages, you've got big cities, you've got, dungeons. So the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, I can see why Frieren would win that. Because everything was very visually pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when you look at like the artwork that you see here with Frieren, the details of like even the shading for the castle in the background behind Stark back there, and some of the shading on Fern's dress and Frieren, and like you can see that the wind is blowing, and they really paid a lot of attention to small details for the background. Up next, we have Best Romance Anime. Winner, Blue Box. And that beat out A Sign of Affection, Too Many Losing Heroines, Ranma 1/2, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, and Dangers in My Heart Season 2. I know you are very strong for Dangers in My Heart.
Because it is literally the perfect romance anime. Like, That is just a crime. I'm sorry. That is a crime. Because dangers in almost every aspect. Oh my god. When
I'm
people would actively look to try and find the flaw in it and said it was just too wholesome to do so.
I have not seen Dangers in My Heart. I know it's one that you have spoken very highly of for a long time. I just have not had the time to sit down and be like, oh, let me watch this. I also think it's a high dive show, and I don't watch much high dive on the phone. Typically, Crunchyroll is easier for me to watch on the phone when I'm in hotels.
Ross, I know your pick on this category, but back me up here.
I mean, if Angela was here, she probably would make a strong argument for Sign of Affection.
And I know Ross would too, because that was his favorite. Um, Too many losing heroines because of the fact that the MC ended up with none of them. It was probably why it wouldn't win a romance anime.
And Ross in the chat says, now I'm not against Blue Box since I got to see the dub finally last month, but Sign of Affection is a romance from 2024 and everyone fell in love with it. And sorry, Dangerous doesn't count since it was 2023.
Season 2 was still 1,000 times better than season 1, even though season 1 was objectively great as well. And
And
besides, and Ranma One Half, that is literally a redo of the original series from how many years ago?
a long time. We're talking back that came
That was
before
what?
Inuyasha.
That was late 90s or early 2000s?
I think it was like late 90s.
Now I just gotta look it up. Give me a second.
Not a problem. While you're looking that up, we will go to best comedy anime.
1989.
Oh my god, so 1980s. Jesus. That's longer ago than I thought.
And on top of that, it's Studio Dean.
Wow.
Wow, that is quite old.
Yeah. Ross says, and Scott Pilgrim is an action anime with a tiny bit of romance, but it's more action than romance.
And on top of that, it's an anime adaptation of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which is what, mid 2000s movie, early 2000s. I don't remember.
That category almost felt like they were grasping for straws, trying to just find something that might have had some form of romance in there and threw it in. I don't think it almost felt like that category with these shows thrown in. A Sign of Affection. I don't know anything about Blue Box. Dangers in My Heart season 2. I think that may have started in 23 but finished in 24, which is why it was included, because at the time that was airing, it did not qualify for the Crunchyroll Awards from last year. Too many losing heroines, like you said, Darren. There really wasn't much. Like, there was a little bit of romance, but the main character never actually ended up with anybody. And even the romance aspect of it was sketchy at best.
Mm-hmm.
So, very on that category. Best comedy anime up next. Winner went to Mashal, which I know Angela has really enjoyed. She's talked a lot about it. beating out Delicious in Dungeon, which from the couple episodes I saw, I didn't see much in the way of comedy. Konosuba was your typical, you know,
Slapstick comedy.
stupid humor.
Uh-huh.
My dear friend Nokotan, I could see that could be a good
That was
comedy,
just like that
but
was
that was
just
just
that was insanity comedy.
yeah.
Because I mean that was the levels of uh what can I compare it to? Um
Fully Cooley,
yeah. I
Fully
didn't really
Cooley, Pop Team Epic.
get Pop Team Epic. Yeah, I
Put
didn't
it in
watch
that
either,
category.
but I didn't watch either, but I'm very familiar with kind of how it went. Maybe maybe Nichijou.
Yeah. And happy birthday, John. John Knight just joined us in the chat. Said, hello, boys. Today is his birthday. So a huge
Feliz
happy
cumpleaños,
birthday to you.
feliz cumpleaños, señor.
I,
Omerta
ho-
Sandro B.
I hope that you have had a very good birthday. Hopefully, you've had a chance to celebrate with your friends and family. Uh, big, big, big happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to anybody out there who's been celebrating a birthday. I know our shows have been very screwy over the last few weeks between my work schedule, Angela traveling, and stuff of that nature. So we've done shows all over the place. Ross says, Darren, please keep it English. He doesn't know Spanish.
Aw, I'm sorry, Ross. This is what happens when you work with Spanish speakers every day. Sometimes you don't even realize you're speaking the language until someone points it out to you.
Now, I don't know how much of a comedy Mashal is. That would probably be something that Angela could add more to, because I know she's actually seen it. Um, but it got the win there.
I don't
Personally, of the shows that I have seen, I would say Konosuba, Nokotan, and Spy Family. I would consider them more comedy than Mashal, but I could be
I
wrong.
would say I don't really get how Spy Family was comedy. Personally, I mean, I get it, the instances with Anya,
I
a
think
lot
that's
of
why it's
times.
Anya is the comedic relief. So that's why it got thrown in there. I'm sure they probably were like, "Oh, we don't have Spy Family in anything. We need to throw that in. Because of how popular Spy Family was. We need to throw that in a couple categories, appease the fan bases."
Hmm.
That's what some of these lists just felt like. Even during the voting, it just felt like, oh, some of these shouldn't even be in this category, but we need to put them somewhere. We don't have, we don't feel like we have a lot for this one, so let's throw Mashal into comedy, even though it's more like action or whatnot.
And remind me, all the ones listed on the Crunchyroll Awards were had to actually be Crunchyroll titles, correct?
Um, I I'm not sure. No, because Dangers in My Heart, I think, were Sentai Filmworks.
Okay. Okay, so it is taking the whole spectrum into
But 95%
consideration.
are Crunchyroll titles. I know last year, um, Call of the Night was nominated. That's also a Sentai Filmworks slash High Dive show.
Okay, I couldn't remember because I think when the Crunchyroll Awards initially started, I'm fairly certain they were limited to only the shows that Crunchyroll had at the time.
Yeah, and Ross in the chat says some High Dive and some Netflix. Yeah, because
I keep
Delicious
forget
in Dungeon is a Netflix exclusive.
I keep forgetting Netflix has a role in anime.
Yeah, best action anime going to Solo Leveling. Surprise, surprise.
Hmm.
Another award for Solo Leveling won a lot from what I had seen in the posts.
For action, I'm I heard about a lot of action taking place in Dan, and well, Demon Slayer, that's a given.
Yeah,
Bleach, that's a given.
Kaiju, I've heard a lot of action takes place in that as well. So, having not really watched any of these shows, I forget what the you guys in the chat wanted us to vote on this one. Ross in the chat says Texas is trying to ban anime, which is that's really ironic considering the fact that there's a couple of really big anime recording studios in the state of Texas.
Hmm.
Maybe that's why a lot of voice actors, you know, in recent years decided to relocate to the West Coast. Maybe they saw writing on the wall. I mean, that could be a story that we could keep our ear out for. And if you guys in the chat hear anything, feel free to share you know, what you hear with us.
I think the whole anime thing, they're trying to redefine it because of how often it crosses boundaries with ages, and they're trying to make it appear worse than it actually
Uh,
is.
I mean,
Um,
and also you got to realize that a lot of anime comes from Japan, or you have the Korean manhwa, and there's Chinese animes and stuff, and a lot of their laws and age restrictions are very different from what we have here in the U.S. So
mhm.
you have a lot of cultural differences that when you're watching these shows, you've got to take into consideration. And in
But
this day and age, I think a lot of people don't think that way.
and to be fair, and kind of ironic, going back and looking what some of the cartoons were on in the 90s and early 2000s, that is actually kind of funny that they're targeting anime when what we really had to watch was considerably worse. Or is it
Oh yeah,
because so many innuendos are no longer innuendos because kids are getting access to this kind of content at a younger age and actually understanding it? Because used to throw in a joke here and there, adult themed, and it would fly under the kid's head. But now they're actually realizing it out there, and they're like, okay, now all of a sudden we got to be careful.
Jeremy in the chat says Ren and Stimpy. I mean, even you can even go back as far as like Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes,
Oh, look,
early Disney.
about to say the early Looney Tunes, the early Disney. Oh my God, like
That
there was literally, I mean, how many Hitler themed stuff, Japanese themed stuff was from World War II was involved in some of those early cartoons? Quite a bit.
yeah, and people don't, everybody's worried about, oh, well, what's coming. I mean, that's why you don't see a lot of older cartoons aired on TV anymore. It's because people complained about, oh, well, that's offensive. I don't want my kid watching. They don't want their kid watching, Tom and Jerry or Elmer Fudd because he's trying to shoot Bugs Bunny, but instead they'll put on SpongeBob or Peppa Pig or some of these other shows that are out there. I'm not going to talk bad about Bluey because Bluey is hysterical. I
I
really
was
enjoy
gonna I
Bluey.
was gonna say Bluey. There was actually a couple of cosplayers from Bluey. Mostly just onesies or Kigurumi, but you get the point.
Yeah, Bluey is a show that I probably would have watched even without having children. If I had found it, I would have watched it without having kids because it is very enjoyable.
And it's funny. Quite a few of my employees said, "Okay, Bluey, I'll watch Bluey," and I'm just like, "Okay, I haven't seen it, but I'm not gonna. I've heard enough about it, and I'm like, okay, I get it."
Continue getting off our soapbox for that for a moment and moving on to the next. We have best isekai anime. There's our genre, Darren.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, let's see who didn't deserve the title this year.
ReZero season 3.
Okay, I can. My only argument on that one would have been Slime and Mushoku Tensei, but
Yeah,
I'm very well aware of how good ReZero has gotten.
I I've heard good things about that. I've heard that ReZero has gotten better, but season two was just so bad at the start that I dropped it, and I don't feel like I want to go back to like try to catch up. Season one was a tough thing to get through. But you and I both agree Amelia is best girl in the series. Everybody loves Rem, but Amelia I feel is best girl.
And seeing the clips, she evolves as time goes on.
So knowing that ReZero still has the big fandom, I mean, I think I had put the vote in for Mishoku Tensei season two because that was absolutely fantastic. I did not see season three of Slime. Suicide
Well,
Squad, Shangri La, I have not seen.
and Slime, probably the reason it didn't get it is that time I was reincarnated into a meeting because there was literally just about every other episode was a meeting. There wasn't much action this season until towards the end of the season.
Yeah,
And then Konosuba, I
Konosuba
mean,
was it
it
was season
it
three was just more Konosuba. The story was
well,
okay, but I don't think that it had a chance against ReZero or Mishoku Tensei.
I agree. Even though I will give credit to Kazuma there toward the end.
Dude, the resolve he had to go after darkness, I give a lot of credit to to him kind of manning up and being like, no, I am going after and trying to rescue a member of my party.
Yeah, especially at the cost. Several billion. Oh my
I,
god.
I gained a ton of respect for Cosmo when he was like, we're getting her back. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
gonna lie.
And then also his performance when breaking into the princess's room.
Yeah,
That was probably the best form we've seen him in ever.
probably. John Knight in the chat says, Doug, how did you feel when you stopped ReZero anime? Um, when I stopped the ReZero, it was like an episode. I think I watched like two or three episodes of season two, and the Who's Rem, and then trying to get into the storyline of that, and I just kind of was like, I felt like it wasn't good. Like I said, I kind of forced myself through season one to try to, and then start season two because so much hype was coming about, oh, season two is supposed to be amazing, and everybody was up in arms because of Who's Rem, and that like had such a huge controversy. So I wanted to get I wanted to watch, so I had information on the show because I knew it was something we would talk about here on AZR. But I was just kind of disappointed in how it was starting out. And again, if I'm watching a show and I feel that it's not, you know, I feel like it's not going to be able to hook me and keep me interested, I'm going to drop it. Like this season, I already dropped a couple of anime um, because I typically watch so much because of, my job. I do have, I
Ample
spend
free
at least
time.
I spend at least 10 to 12 hours in a hotel if I'm on a road job. So that's and to give you an idea of how much time I spend away from home, I figured it out on the train coming home last night / early this morning. There's 168 hours in a work week, and I am home maybe 60 of those hours. Like physically in this house, maybe 60 when I'm on a road train. So I spent a lot of time away, which makes it tough to keep up on everything, you know, on the home front And when I'm stuck in hotels for 10, 12, in some cases, I mean, last week I had a stretch where I was in a hotel for 32 hours. I can't sleep the whole time. So I do kind of try to catch up on some of the shows. Of course, I've got YouTubers that I watch and try to do some gaming and things like that. But if I don't have a show that like really piques my interest, because there's so many other shows out there, I'm just not going to watch it. And I know Darren has a complete opposite problem that I have. He's got a whole list of shows that he wants to see, but because he works so much and he's not like working and then put up somewhere where he has the time to watch stuff. Typically, Darren, you have a watch list of at least 10 anime, and you're lucky to keep up with two.
Yep, and it's because it's not that I don't have the time, it's by the time I have the time, I'm exhausted and want to go to bed.
And or when you do start watching anime, I message you and say, "Hey, let's do a show."
Kinda. I was in the middle of Takamine-san whenever you initially messaged me.
Takamine-san is a show I actually dropped.
How many episodes in?
Uh, I think 3 or 4.
Okay, because it was the end of 4 where you realize why she is the way she is.
So it might have been 3, and I was like, it seems too much of like a goofy storyline, just something that like I have too many other shows, and this season there are some bangers out there.
Mm-hmm.
Not and like I'm not even saying Apothecary Diaries continuation, which is fantastic. The Saint that got sold off to another country, that has been, in my opinion, that might be a top runner for romance anime of the year. If that's not in the nominations, I'm gonna call bullshit on at least one of the like 3 main award websites out there that do the anime awards. That has got to be in there. Gorilla God's Go To Girl also is a decent romance anime. So I think this season, I think there are some really good shows. The Journey one that I was been watching. Let me pull my list out here. That Journey has been really good. It's Angela. Last week, Angela and I were talking about Meet Me at the Ballpark being a good palate cleansing anime. I feel that Journey is a very good palate cleanser as well. Great artwork, a lot of history. They travel around. There is a storyline in there. It's just sometimes it feels like it's hard to follow. But like the most recent episode that I watched earlier this week was, kind of was like, oh yeah, she's a manga creator that's having trouble because everything she writes is being rejected. So she's going off traveling to try to gain experiences to help her create another. Ross in the chat talking about Saint said last week's episode of Saint broke his heart. Main reason, the mother. Yeah, that was, I when that information got dropped, that was quite the bombshell to be like, wait, what? I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who's watching it and hasn't seen the episode. I'm not sure if that's on your list to watch, Darren, but I would recommend it.
I think it was.
It was the Two Perfect Saint. I would highly recommend it. The bombshell gets dropped, halfway through, like episode 6, 7, and it's like, oh, okay. Interesting to see how things are not what they seem. without spoiling anything. But getting back to the awards, I thought it would take us like an hour to get through this, and then we've just gone off on tangents. And I think we're not even halfway down the page.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, we have Best Drama Anime, and the winner went to Freerun.
Hmm.
I am going
See,
to
well,
say I think Apothecary Diaries should have won that. As much as I love Freerun, I think Apothecary Diaries was a better series with drama. Based on the subject matter, the stuff that happens, I just think all around Apothecary Diaries is a better anime for the subject drama than Freerun. But again, that's my personal opinion. As everybody knows, I love both. At some point, I still want to get a Mau figure. I've just got to wait till I have the fundages to do so. But I can see why a lot of people thought Freerun, because there is a lot of drama. There's a lot of stuff that happens in there, especially when it came to the mage battles and stuff of that nature. Ross in the chat says Sign of Affection should have won. So heavy. Have not seen Sign of Affection, so I cannot comment on that. I'm just going based off of the two shows that I had seen, and I thought Apothecary Diaries would have been a better fit. But I will take your word for it, Ross, that there was it says reflects a lot more on real life. Up next, we have Best Slice of Life Anime. What do you think, Darren?
Slice of life. Well,
Yeah,
considering we actually went through slice of life and determined that many anime we thought were slice of life wasn't. I don't know.
too many losing heroines.
Okay, that one I can actually. Let's see what the nominees were, because I can actually see that one.
Laid Back
Laid
Camp
back,
Season
Martha.
3, Mr. Villain's Day Off, My Dear Friend, Sound, Euphorium 3, and Dangers in My Heart Season 2.
Even though I love Dangers for slice of life and relating to actual events in life, I think I can see Makine on this one.
I kind of can lean towards Makine as well.
Oh, you actually watched it, didn't you?
I did, and it was really good.
Oh, by the way, I just sent you something. Please ignore me.
All right. We will speed things up here. Where, like I said, I thought this was going to be like an hour-long show, and we're getting ready to go a little over that. We have a few more categories we want to touch on. So up next, we have Best Main Character. And the winner of that was Sung Jin Woo from Solo Leveling. He beat out Frieren, Kafka Hibino from Kaiju number 8, Okarun from Dan to Dan, Mao Mao from Apothecary Diaries, Momo from Dan to Dan. So we have a Mao Mao and a Momo in that category. Again, I have not seen the show. Of the characters I know from this list, I give the nod to Mao Mao over Frieren, but just slightly. What's your thoughts, Darren?
I didn't watch any of these, so I really can't say. Um, I really don't have an opinion because I don't know any of them. I don't know how they free run of all of them. I think free run's the only one I know how she really acted. But that's it.
Yeah. For Slice of Life, Ross says that Grandma and Grandpa anime should have been nominated and won. Need I say more? That actually was a pretty decent one, but I don't think I ever finished that. I think that was one that kind of got lost amongst all the other shows I was watching. Best supporting character goes to Fern from Frieren. Nominees included Himmel from Frieren, Jinchi from Apothecary Diaries, Psycho and Turbo Granny from Dan to Dan, and Senshi from Delicious in Dungeon. I mean, I know that there was a lot of people who liked Fern. I was not the biggest fan of hers, but I mean, the character itself, she was a good character. I just was not the biggest fan of Fern. I think I gave the nod to Jinshi because how much Jinshi plays off of Mao Mao and the reactions you get from Mao Mao when he's around is pure gold, in my opinion. Just absolutely great. So I would have given the nod to Jinchi here, but I know that there's a lot of people who like Fern, and surprisingly, when it comes to Freerun merchandise, I've seen more stuff with Fern than I've seen with Freerun.
Well, about saying I kind of proved that this weekend because I found the Nendroid of Fern, but I
Yeah,
was really looking for one for free run, and I really couldn't see. I couldn't find one.
I think there's an Android for Freerun.
Oh,
Up
I didn't see one this weekend.
up next, we have Must Protect at All Costs character, and to nobody's surprise, Anya Forager. I
Of course.
remember I remember when we were casting the vote, the other nominees included Freerin, Okarun, Senshi, uh, Tokiyuki Hojo from The Elusive Samurai, and Yuki Itose from Sign of Affection. I was like, Freerin shouldn't even be on the list, but that was just my opinion. But it doesn't surprise me. Anya won. That was my vote as well. She has always been the must protect because she's absolutely adorable. She's a devilish little shit, but she's adorable. Best anime song. What do you think, Darren?
No idea. I mean,
Uh,
Mashal was the only one that I really know.
uh, Otonoke by Creepy Nuts. Dan to Dan.
So it's creepy nuts. So that, without even hearing it,
You
I can
already
already
know it's a
feel
banger.
it. Exactly.
uh, and that beat out um, Abyss by Youngblood. Bling Bang Bang Born by Creepy Nuts from Mashal. Fatal Gemini, Oshinoko Season 2. Level from Solo Leveling. And The Brave Freerin.
And it also beat out Bling Bong by
Yeah.
Creepy Nuts.
Yeah, bling bang bang boom. And it's bling bang bang. We
Bling
actually
Bang Bang, Bling Bang Bang Born.
my wife and I were actually went out today to play disc golf for the first time this year, and she likes to play music when we're out there. Uh and that song actually came up on our playlist, and both of us stopped in the middle of the disc golf course and started doing that dance. I'm like, I am such a nerd. It's like I haven't seen the show, but I've seen the music video because the song is really good. Have a good night, Jeremy. Jeremy says that he's taking off. So have a good
Night.
night. Hopefully we catch you again. Should be a show on Sunday unless Angela's unable to do it. I will probably see about doing a show like Monday or so next week, depending on what I'm working. Best anime
I'll,
score.
I'll have faith in the 10%.
Yeah. Best anime score goes to Solo Leveling. So, like I said, Solo Leveling won a lot of awards. Nominees included Bleach, Dan to Dan, Demon Slayer, Frieren, and Look Back. Best anime opening sequence, Odinoke by Creepy Nuts for Dan to Dan. Best ending sequence went to Request by Karage for Solo Leveling. So another win for Solo Leveling. I'm not sure how many wins that is. I think it's at least 5 or 6.
I lost track.
And a best voice anime voice artist performance, Japanese. The winner went to Aoi Yuki, the voice of Mau from Apothecary Diaries, which I've only seen, Apothecary Diaries and Frieren, and both voice actresses did a great job voicing their characters, but Mau is just such a great character. I feel like Mau has the potential to be like one of those iconic characters that just sticks around, even though she is so plain. Like I would put her like as memorable of a character as like Albedo, Holo from Spice and Wolf, 02. She just has that staying power and the performance that, and not just Aoi Yuki, but also Emmy Lowe in the English dub does such a great job with Mama. And I don't think you've seen any of these shows that were nominated.
Nope. Pretty much this whole list, I haven't seen anything from all of them except for Dangers.
Yeah. And then we have Best Voice Artist Performance in Arabic, which went to Hiba Snobar, the voice of Anya Forager. Brazilian/Portuguese went to Charles Emmanuel, voice of Sung Jin Woo from Solo Leveling. Castilian Spanish went to Masumi Mitsuda as Sung Jin Woo, Solo Leveling. English went to Alex Lee, Sung Jin Woo, Solo Leveling. You see a habit here?
Yeah.
They just saw Solo Leveling and it was like, okay, we just pick him. In French, we actually had Kaiju number 8 got the win.
Oh, wow.
German went to One Piece. Daniel Saluch as Monkey D. Luffy. For Hindi, we had JJK Season 2 winning there.
Satoru Gojo.
Italian, we had Look Back.
Ilaria Pericone.
And then we had Latin Spanish. Went to Attack on Titan, Eren Jaeger. And that is it.
So Solo Leveling basically swept.
Pretty much. Solo Leveling like killed it on everything that was I think just about everything that it was nominated for, it won.
Which is sad, but whatever.
But that's that's kind of the state. That's kind of the way things are when it comes to stuff like that. But I think on that note, we are going to call it. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. As we came through and kind of picked apart a little bit some of the Crunchyroll awards. Do we agree? Do we not agree? A lot of people out there have strong opinions talking about how it has turned into a popularity contest and has been for years, as opposed to what is actually the best shows. But it's kind of how award ceremonies have been for a long time, not just in anime, but you look at music awards, you look at movies, you look at all of them, and a lot of times it feels like it's just a popularity contest.
Well, let's see. What's his name basically said that during his opening a couple of years ago. Do you remember that?
I don't, because I haven't paid much attention to award ceremonies in many years outside of the anime stuff.
Well, there's one you need to look up from a couple of years ago. I think it was the Grammy Awards or something. They had one guy do it, and he literally said in his speech, "I don't even care anymore. No, don't try to defend yourselves. I don't care." And he literally just went on and on and on and on and on and on, and everyone was like, "How is he not getting kicked off the stage?"
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. But
I was about
again,
to say, you disappeared.
yeah. And don't worry about it. Ross says he's sorry he wasn't able to join last week. He had come back from a 3-day vacation and had to put things away and eat dinner. You are here so much, Ross. You miss a show here and there. It's not a big deal. We know that you usually will come back and watch or listen to it after the fact, and you are such an appreciated member of the listening audience. Like, we love all the fans out there who tune in, whether it's your first time or you've been with us since day one over 11 years ago. You all mean the world to us. Not just me, but I know Darren appreciates you. I know Angela appreciates everybody who comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note, until Sunday, when Darren and Angela will probably do a review of Anime-Zing, because this past weekend there was a ton of cons going on. I also know Anime Boston was going on. I've heard some interesting things from there. Had a brief conversation with our friend Sahara from Hataki and Sahara RK, our friends, our cosplay friends. They did not win anything in the masquerade this year, but they had some friends who did. I've heard mixed reviews talking about some of the stuff going on at Anime Boston was kind of a shit show. Also heard that there was controversy that came from like Geekdom Con. Don't know all the details on that, so I don't want to say anything. Just stuff that I've heard down the through social media posts of people from people who have been at the events and whatnot. So, but until Sunday, I hope everybody has a wonderful night. Thank you again to everybody tuning in and listening to us talk about the Crunchyroll Anime Awards and giving our honest thoughts and opinions. I think they got some right. I think they got some wrong. I think there was some that I can't really say because I had not seen the shows. But it feels like every year you have one show that just dominates everything. And this year it was Solo Leveling that just kind of dominated everything.
Mm-hmm.
I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. I hope you all had a safe Memorial Day weekend. I know it was a big weekend for a lot of people out there. Like I said, until Sunday, I hope you all stay safe. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you again here for more Anime-Zing Radio here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.